I would like to talk about time zones in relation to this week's class. Here I have a time zone map. There are 24 time zones on the globe, and you can see how they're represented. We start out with what is called UTC time, Universal Coordinated Time. And this essentially is the zero starting point. It is based on the time in Greenwich. So if I go to the left, I'm going minus. If I go to the right, I'm going plus. So when you're working with time in the browser, you might need to accommodate for this. However, most time calculations that are done on the server use Universal Coordinated Time. Coordinated, meaning everyone's on the same page, at the same starting point. And this is how you generally do your date calculations. And then if you want to display something in the browser for the user, you would need to work with JavaScript in order to access their time. Time zones are not transferred in the HTTP headers when you retrieve a file using PHP. So here we are on the West Coast. We are essentially UTC minus 7. We are 7 hours in the opposite direction. And on my clock, it's approximately 10:05 here. All right, let's look at UTC. All right, this is World Time Standard. This is how people work with dates. This is a standard, not a time zone. So here is UTC. It's telling me it's 17 hours. All right, this is Coordinated Universal Time. It is 10 o'clock here. What did I say? We are minus 7 UTC. So if I subtracted minus 7, that would give me 10 o'clock at my time. I'm just explaining to you how this works. Here again, this is a standard. It's not technically a time zone. Here's Greenwich Mean Time. And this is GMT, which is technically a time zone. However, the Coordinated Universal Time works with this time zone as the starting point. Now notice, here, according to GMT time, it's 5, at the 5 hour here. All right, GMT time does not use necessarily a 24-hour clock. It uses a 12-hour. So what I would need to do is I would need to actually add 12 to this, which would give me 17, which is the same as I see over here at Universal Time. So I'm just explaining to you how this works. So here's our time zones. Here's UTC, which is the time zone that you should be using on your Apache server. Unfortunately, it is not set up that way. By default, it is set up to a different time zone, so you need to go in and change that. So I am looking at my php.ini file, which is in the PHP folder in XAMPP. And here I see the default time configuration set to this time zone. If I put a semicolon in front of it, I can comment it out, and now I will set my time zone here. I am pointing this out because most companies work with UTC time in order to perform date calculations on the server. So if I were to go to eBay and find an auction I'm interested in bidding, it will tell me how many minutes and seconds are left, and look how nice. And it tells me the time. This is because I am on the Pacific Coast. If I was in New York, it would tell me something else. However, that auction will go off at the same time. When the person sets it for a 7-day auction, it doesn't matter what their time zone was, because it is being set for exactly 7 days with UTC, Universal Coordinated Time. And we just need to do a little bit of translation and some JavaScript work to display it back. So PHP dates and times is for the server. It's not necessarily for the browser.